welcome to my creative space. Thank you so much for being here with us today. Today I have a special guest, as you can see. This is
Ashley.
And this is my daughter, if you didn't already know her. This is my only kid, my only one, my baby forever. So she will be joining me in this video. You would see her hands in this video just like mine, but we decided to collab in this video. She really wanted to help me with this one because this year she requested, or I guess asked us if we can decorate for Halloween or from Porch and Yard, and we said yes. So for this year we are actually committing to a whole Halloween decor, and I was like, perfect. I've never done a DIY for actually Halloween, so I'm really excited. Most times I just buy pumpkins and we just throw a couple of skeletons and we call it a day. In this video I will show you some DIYs. I came up with 3 of them that work perfect for Halloween, and I'm so excited to share. This girl helped me with like half of each DIY because most times I record at night and she has to go to bed. So there is that. We hope you love this video. As you can see, she's really hyper. She just came back from dance and she's all hyper. We hope that you love these DIYs as much as we did making them. Thank you so much for watching. Do not forget to
click the subscribe button and leave a comment down below.
Thank you so much for watching. Now we're gonna jump into the video and let's get started.
Yay!
For our first project, we are going to be using this $5 sign I picked up from Target. That was a great deal and I was so excited to find it. Here you can use some stencils or vinyl. I will be using vinyl but in the color white. And then I'm gonna use this cute skeleton from Dollar Tree, and then I'm just going to end up using the black paint, so ignore the other paints. Okay, so first things first, I'm going to remove the hanger that comes here. Save it because we will use it later. Now we're gonna remove the tag in the back, and here is my cute baby helping me remove the sticker. Now the next step is to grab some painter's tape, and I am going to be creating a frame around it. I really like the grain on this sign, so I would like to keep it. And I'm just going to cover the edges. This is definitely optional. I really wanted to do this just because of that. It was a great addition to the project. And once our 4 sides are completely covered with tape, we are moving to the next step. Okay, I will tell you right now, I made a mistake. I started painting this white and it was supposed to be black, or I guess I came to the conclusion that I needed this to be black. So we're gonna switch the paint, and I didn't realize until I had completely painted it and waited on that to dry. So yeah, there's that. But definitely this is an optional step. You can definitely leave it as is and just, you know, put the words on it and do the rest. But I really thought that this would look a lot better if I painted, and especially because I'm going with black and white outdoor decor. Okay, here is what it looks like once it's completely painted. Now we're moving to our friend the skeleton. This part is again optional. I don't like the shiny white color the skeleton has, so I went on top with some chalk paint and I just gave it 2 layers of it just because I wanted to make sure everything was painted, and then I'm gonna let it dry. Now here is what our sign looks like once it's completely dry, and we are going to start removing the tape. And let me tell you, it was so pleasing seeing those edges completely sharp. I was so excited. It was like my favorite thing to do, remove the tape off of this. And then once that is done, here is our friend the skeleton as well, because we are going to, I decided to only use the top, basically the arms and then the legs. You can definitely glue this completely on there, but that's not the style I was going for, or I guess the idea I had on it. And so I'm just trimming the legs and also, you know, the arms. Now here is what our friend the skeleton looks like right now. I am going to take my sign, place it right on top, and now here are my vinyl letters. I spell welcome. You can definitely spell Halloween, whatever you want, but this was a welcome from Porch sign that I really wanted to create. I saw some inspo from Pinterest and decided to create my own. So there is that. That's where the idea came from. And then, I'm just going to start placing these letters on top of my sign, and we are going to leave our skeleton to the side for now. Let me know what colors are you going for this year. I'm very basic and I am going to go for black and white, but are you doing any colors? Do you decorate for Halloween? For us, this is the first time we're doing this, and it was more so of a request of my daughter, and I was really excited, honestly, because I love making things, and I was like, yes, let's do this. So we're gonna go big on Halloween decor this year for our front porch and yard. I'll show you when we have that going. And then so here's a look of how this sign is looking. I think it looks really good. Now it's time to add the final touches. We are adding our skeleton, and I am just going to hot glue this in place and pray that this stays on here the entire Halloween season. I'm sure I could have used better glue, but hot glue usually is nice with me, or to me, and I decided to just go with hot glue. I glued the arms and the head, and then just place the paint bottles on top to make them stay, just push it down. And then we are going to do the feet, and I first wanted to use the entire part of this, but I was like, it's going to look weird, and kind of play around with it. And then I finally decided I needed to trim these legs, and so I end up marking with a pencil where I need to cut, and then just grabbing my scissors. That's the best thing, that this thing is made of plastic, and it's a very flexible plastic, and I was able to just grab my scissors and cut it. Now I'm just going to hot glue it just like we did the other part, and this is almost it. Let me know in the comments down below, again, what are you doing for Halloween? I would love to know. And I'm always looking for ideas to see what other videos I can do. So if you have any suggestions, I am all ears. I do try to get a video out once a week. Life happens and I sometimes don't make the goal, but I do try to do my best. Now I hadn't glued the arms, or I guess the hands, and I decided to do that just because I don't want this to be flying around. And then once that is completed, this is the time to add the hanger. Definitely, again, optional. I feel like I've said that a lot, but it's definitely an option, and you can do so many things with this. This is just one idea out of like millions probably. And that is all for this project. Let's take a look at the end result. For our next project, I will be using 2 Dollar Tree skulls. I picked these two, but you will see the struggle here in a little bit. I also am going to use 2 hands. I show you this tiny little skulls, but I don't end up using them. And then I'm going to use a wooden dowel, and I will leave the information down below. I'm also going to be needing a flower pot or just a regular pot. And then I'm also going to be using some black spray paint. I don't end up using the white one, so ignore it. And then some flowers. Yay! Okay, what I'm going to do first is grab my 2 skulls, and since this one is a cup and it's harder, I am going to have to remove the top, and I use the saw to do that. I had an idea of having a big and a small skull. I will say that created a lot more work that was not necessary, so I would suggest if you are going to recreate this, just grab the 2 regular gray brownish pumpkins because they're made out of plastic and they're easy to work with. Now, I didn't realize I wasn't recording this part, so I apologize. I ended up cutting the hole on that bigger skull with my scissors without any trouble. I just drew the circle, cut it with my scissors, and I was done. Now, for the other one, if you want to use that, which I don't see why you would because it's just a lot more work, I use this tool, and this one is basically meant for writing on wood or like drawing on wood. I don't know the exact name, but I end up using that and then just sand the top because it was really rough, and then just go back with the tool to kind of make it a little bit more smooth. I use the same tool to create holes at the bottom because I'm sure you guessed, or I'm sure you already know, we're making some planters. I was so excited about this project. I really wanted to make it, and I was like, I have to make this work. So that's why I was doing the extra work, and I could have waited to the next day to go to Dollar Tree and just give me another great skull, but I decided to just keep going, right? We don't give up here. And then I will say that you can use the glue gun to create these holes. You don't necessarily need this tool specifically. The hot glue gun works just as fine. So just create some holes so we can have some water drainage on our soon to be planters. Now I'm gonna take my black paint and I am going to spray my skulls. I will give it just one coat was enough for me, and then I also took the dowel and spray painted. Here are my skulls. We're gonna let them dry, and now once our skulls are dry, we're going to use them in the hands as well. I am going to sit these skulls on top of the hands. Now I am going to use a screwdriver. You could hot glue them or use some other glue that is strong enough to hold them. I still wanted to have the extra security, so I added the screwdriver, or I guess the screw on there with a screwdriver. I added it, and this is gonna be easier on the bigger skulls, the gray ones, because you can fit your hand in it, and you can add you know, the screw and be able to screw it in. I did struggle on that other one, but here is what it looks like. And then I just added some hot glue to make it be secure, I guess. Make sure that it's not gonna move. And then I did struggle on this one a little bit, but I did get it in there, and I did also added some hot glue. Now I took my drill, and I'm going to create some holes for our soon to be planter tier. And I end up gluing the skull down to the hand, just because even though it's secure there, I don't want it to be moving around. And then for the smaller one, I had to go from the bottom because it was easier. My hand and the drill did not fit through the top, so I just flipped it around and started from the bottom, and it worked just fine. Now once those are completed, we're gonna put them to the side for now. Now I'm gonna grab my pot, and excuse me, or excuse my pot, it's just so dirty, but this is what we got to work with. The pot was actually from Dollar Tree. I got it for $5 from that new section they have over the summer, and it was used, and that's why it's dirty. I grabbed this random cup that was dirty, and I had it sitting around my work area. It had some paint, and then it dried, and then, you know, it ended up being like that, but we're not gonna see it, so it's fine. And then I forgot to add the wooden dowel before I added the rocks, so I kind of struggle here. Listen, we're learning as we are going. We usually don't have everything planned out completely, so a lot of this is like real action and like real time. And then after I added some hot glue to the dowel and made sure that it was glued completely to the bottom, I added the rocks. You can add anything just heavy enough to hold your wooden dowel. Okay, now that we got that going, I am going to start adding my hands with the skulls. I will put the bigger one down first, and then I was like, how I'm going to make them stay in place. So I'm gonna add some hot glue, and then after I added hot glue, I let it dry for a little bit, and then I was like, I need something else to make sure they're not gonna slide. And I found these clips from Dollar Tree I had laying around, and they're these pink ones, and I'm gonna use those to hold the bottom. I'll spray paint them, and then I'll just clip them on there. Now for the second one, since it's gonna go at the very top, I just added a ton of hot glue, and I'm going to have another little clip at the bottom. Now, excuse my garage, it's dirty, but I really wanted to show you how I put this plant on here. I just get it out of the little container that they come in, and then I just put it inside my skull. You know, pretty simple. I will not be showing you the other skull because I did that one off camera, and also I did the bigger pot. I added dirt and then plants, but I didn't have time to move my light and my phone and everything to record, so I apologize for that. Now, I did wanted to mention that you don't have to do the whole tier thing. I wanted to go big because this is going on my front porch and I needed it to be big, but you can definitely just make the skull by itself. It will look amazing as well. And now I'm gonna stop talking, and here is the end result. For this project, I will be using this straw wreath. I'm also going to use these cute Halloween flowers. I fell in love with these ones. I'm going to need this cute skeleton that actually lights on and it's really loud. Then I'm going to use those little cute hands, some tulle, some ribbon. We are going to use this glittery garland. It's like purple and black, and these bats that are also glittery. We are not going to use those bones, so ignore them. And we're going to use some black paint. We are going to start with the black paint. So I didn't have a lot of black paint, so I kind of just used what I had left to spray my wreath. Here's Ashlyn trying to help me, and then we're gonna let it dry, put it to the side. Now I am going to start with the flowers. I am going to start taking them apart, and then I realized I have two of each, two regular flowers and then two flowers with eyes, and then the two branches with the spiders. So I decide to create piles. I separate each bunch and then I do that off camera. Now here is a wreath. I think it looks really spooky. I think it's perfect for what I need it for, because I still wanted that straw to peek through. I didn't want this to be completely black, and I think it turned out really cool. Now I started with the regular flowers. I kind of started adding them around this wreath, and then I ran into a problem. I did not have enough flowers. So once I start adding the eyes, the flowers with the eyes, I realized that I'm not gonna have enough to cover them. So I decided to just leave one side uncovered and we will cover it later. So I started arranging the flowers that I had already added to the wreath and kind of create that space that we're going to need later. And once that is completed, we are going to start adding our little branches with the spiders. So just spread those around. I think it gives that little something that this wreath needed to make it look even more spooky. You could even just use more flowers and cover this whole thing and call it a day. Here's Ashlyn helping me. She loved using the clippers or whatever those are called, and she loves using these tools. I just didn't want her to be using the hot glue gun because I burn myself, and you'll see her later. Okay, once we are done completing our wreath, we are going to start with our garland. This is a cute garland. It actually has some hints of purple, and it gives that little pop of a little bit of color, that because this is completely black, I think that give it that little pop of color to help it look even better. So on this one, the thicker side, so this garland had like little strings on it. We took those apart. Actually, Ashlyn helped me with that. She took them apart and we used each string and just wrapped it around. So I was having trouble getting this to stick to the back. So I started using little pieces of paper to do that and be able to glue them into place. So the thicker side that was actually attached to the garland, I just stick it in there because it's thick enough for that to stay there. But the other pieces are thinner, and that's the part that I used the paper for. Now here is what it looks like on the back, and here is what it's looking like so far. I think it looks super cute. It will look amazing just the way it is, but you know I like to be extra. So here is our cute skeleton, and Ashlyn actually dancing the skeleton around. We are going to create a bow. Our skeleton is just dancing, having its best life. So I realized this tool actually glows in the dark. It has really cute sparkles. I will say it's not loud at all. So I really thought it was gonna show up at night, but you can see like little hints of glow, which is still kind of cool. Maybe if you get more, it will glow a lot more. But I was really excited to use this. So I used this to create a bow. I just wrapped it around until I was done with the little, the little roll. And then I just pinched it in the middle and used the zip tie and kind of zip it together. We're going to put that bow to the side. And then I'm going to use this other ribbon. I'm going to create 3 loops with this, I guess you can call it. So I'm going to cut 3 pieces of this ribbon, all the same size, and then I'm going to start gluing them together to the back. And then this is a very thin ribbon, so I'm going to clip it in place so it can stay in place while it dries. Here is what our pieces look like. I decided to glue these three pieces together on on the center, I added the tiny bit of glue just to attach them, so I will be able to start pinching them together and make it look like a whole bow. So here is what I am doing right now. Now that it's dried enough, I am going to start pinching. I start on one end and kind of just go through it until I get to the other end. Once it's all pinched together, I take another zip tie and I zip it together. Now, I don't know, I like doing this individually. I feel like I have better control, but if you are good doing this all at once, you would only have to use one zip tie and, you know, zip your bows together. So I have my two bows now. Now I'm going to trim, you know what, we don't need of that zip tie. And then I'm going to glue this smaller bow right on top, and then so it doesn't move around, I decided to add another zip tie. I know, maybe too many zip ties, but that's the way I work as I go, and I don't really think about it much until I'm there and I'm like, okay, how are we gonna figure this out? And this is what I come up with. But you know, watching this video, I'm sure you learn things and you're like, well, I'm gonna do this, I'm not gonna do that. So I make those mistakes for you. And then I decided to add another piece of ribbon to the middle to cover up you know, the zip ties, because you know, you had to cover those. You have to cover them. And then I just grab a piece and I just kind of fold it in the middle, each end, to make it a little bit, you know, smaller. And then I created a knot in the middle, and then I glued this down. But then I'm going to be unhappy here in a little bit. Again, I work as I go, and if I like it, I keep it, and if not, I change it. So I glued this down, and then I'm like, I don't know if I like this, so I'm gonna add this other little piece that was left from that same glittery glowing tool, and I wrapped it right on top, and I was like, I think I like it, I'm gonna keep it. And also, it's supposed to glow in the dark, so I really wanted to use that tiny piece that was left over it. That's the truth behind it. Here is our cute bow. Now what I'm gonna do is place it on my wreath. On the part that we left empty, I did added a little piece of twine to hold my bow, just because I'm gonna hold this on, or I'm gonna hang this on my front porch, and you know, it can get windy and crazy outside, so I want to make sure that that bow stays in place. And I didn't think that hot glue was gonna be enough, so I tied it and then I added some hot glue. Now I'm gonna do the same for my little cute skull, or I guess not skull, it's a skeleton. I tied it with some twine to make sure it's not gonna go anywhere. And now we have our cute bats. I only have 4 of them, so I kind of used it to fill in those spaces that were still empty. So I just wanted to make sure that everything was covered up, so when it's hanged on the door, it all looks even. Once I was done doing that, here is where I burned myself. I was adding this hand to it, and again, I want this to make sure, or I want this to stay in place, so I need to glue this, because if I just stick them on there, they're gonna fall right off. And then I just go around, place them wherever I think they look good. And I think it's looking amazing. Let me know in the comments down below what you think about this DIY. I think this wreath turned out amazing. That is all for this project. I hope you love it. Now, here is the end result. If you made it to the end of the video, thank you so much. Do not forget to comment your favorite DIY down below and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you on my next DIY. Bye!